I never imagined that a casual evening with my girlfriend could change everything about how I saw myself. We were just hanging out, scrolling through social media, laughing at makeup tutorials and fashion hacks, when she stopped mid-scroll and turned to me with that mischievous sparkle in her eyes. "You know," she said, tilting her head, "I think you could pull off a really pretty look. Like, really, really pretty." I laughed nervously. "Pretty? Me? Are you serious?" She grinned, stepping closer, her fingers brushing mine. "Absolutely. I can make you gorgeous." I thought she was joking. But then she pulled me toward the bedroom, waving her hands dramatically like a magician about to perform an impossible trick. Before I could protest, she had me seated in front of her vanity, an array of brushes, lipsticks, eyeshadows, and blushes laid out like a painter's palette. "Trust me," she whispered, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "You're going to love this." And then it began. At first, it was just the makeup, the gentle strokes of foundation, the blending of blush along my cheeks, the way she accentuated my eyes with dark eyeliner, mascara, and subtle shades of gold and pink. I could feel her hands brushing my hair back, tucking strands behind my ears. Each motion was intimate, electric, and terrifying all at once. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, squinting, wondering if I was imagining the changes. My face was transforming, but somehow it still felt like me, only softer, brighter, and undeniably more feminine. "See," she whispered, brushing a light powder over my nose. "Pretty, right?" I couldn't speak. My mouth felt dry. I blinked slowly, unsure if I was supposed to be shocked, flattered, or embarrassed. The reflection staring back at me wasn't just prettier, it was someone I didn't quite recognize. My jawline seemed softer, my lips fuller, my eyes more open, luminous, almost hypnotic. Then came the hair. She braided it, straightened it, teased it gently, letting it cascade over my shoulders in a silky, glossy wave. My fingers instinctively ran through it, marveling at the texture, the weight, the transformation. Every brushstroke, every pinch of makeup, every subtle tweak made me feel strange. Exposed, yes, but also alive. Finally, the clothes. She pulled out a simple dress, a soft pastel pink, hugging the right curves, flowing just enough to accentuate a natural sway. My heart raced as I stepped into it. I could feel my body shift, my posture changing unconsciously, as if the dress knew exactly how I was supposed to move. Then came the heels, delicate, elegant, just high enough to make my legs look endless. I stood in front of the mirror, fully transformed. My girlfriend circled me, inspecting every detail, her eyes soft but critical. "Perfect," she said finally, beaming. "You look amazing." I barely recognized myself. My mind raced with questions. Who was I now? Was this really me? Could I ever go back to the way I was? I felt a rush of panic and thrill at the same time, an intoxicating mix of embarrassment, curiosity, and excitement. The next day, everything felt different. I walked around the apartment, still in the outfit she had picked, heels clicking softly against the floor. My reflection caught me in the hallway mirror, and I froze. I wasn't hiding from anyone, there was no excuse for this sudden change, but I couldn't stop staring. My body, my face, my hair, everything had subtly shifted overnight, and the reality of it made my chest tighten. I had to go to work. The commute was unbearable. Every step in the heels felt like a test, every glance from strangers a challenge. I tried to minimize attention, but even under an oversized coat and a casual scarf, I felt the subtle sway of my hips, the feminine tilt of my shoulders. People whispered, stared, or smiled politely, and I couldn't tell if it was admiration or curiosity, or both. When I reached the office, my heart sank. Mark, a colleague who had always been blunt, stopped mid-sentence. "Whoa, is that really you?" he asked, eyes wide. Yeah," I mumbled, voice catching, trying to keep it low, unsure how to navigate the tension in the room. The day became a blur of whispers, awkward glances, and polite smiles. Every interaction was a test of composure, every email and phone call a reminder that I had stepped into a world that wasn't entirely mine yet. I felt exposed, fragile, and self-conscious, but also, strangely empowered. At home, I couldn't resist exploring further. Alone in my bedroom, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my hair, tracing the curve of my jaw, my lips, my waist. I experimented with small changes, trying a slightly darker lipstick, softer eyeshadow, tilting my head differently. Each adjustment revealed something new about myself, and each revelation was both thrilling and terrifying. I began recording videos, secretly documenting the process. Watching myself on screen was surreal. My movements were softer, my expressions more delicate, my voice subtly shifting when I experimented with tone. It was like discovering a hidden language, a way of expressing parts of myself I had never allowed to surface. As days passed, I started venturing outside. First to quiet cafes, then to busier streets. Every outing was a careful experiment in blending, in learning to move confidently, to navigate stares and whispers. Strangers complimented me, some curious, some genuinely impressed, and each interaction chipped away at the fear I had felt initially. I began to enjoy the attention, the subtle power in being seen, the thrill of stepping fully into a persona that felt right, even if it wasn't entirely familiar yet. The real breakthrough came one weekend when my girlfriend suggested we go shopping together. I dressed carefully, wearing a fitted skirt, a soft blouse, and heels that made my legs look impossibly long. In the store, surrounded by strangers and bright lights, I felt exposed, my pulse racing with every glance. But my girlfriend's hand on my back grounded me, reminding me that I wasn't alone, that I could navigate this world with confidence. People stopped to compliment me. A shop assistant smiled warmly. "You have such a natural elegance, really beautiful." My chest tightened, my face flushed, and yet I couldn't stop smiling. Every step, every interaction, was a test of courage. And with each test, I realized I was stronger than I had imagined. By the time we left the store, I felt a quiet pride swelling inside me. The experiment had become something more than play. It was becoming an exploration of identity, of self, of courage. Work continued to be a challenge. I had to maintain boundaries, to navigate a world that wasn't ready to see me fully. But I had learned subtle strategies, how to walk, how to carry myself, how to speak and project confidence. One evening, while heading to a client dinner, I paused in front of a mirror in the hotel lobby. The heels clicked against the marble, the dress hugged my curves, my makeup flawless. I took a deep breath. This was me, fully realized. And I wasn't hiding anymore. The client approached, friendly and unaware. "You look different tonight," she said, smiling. "Absolutely stunning." I felt a rush of warmth, a sense of validation that went beyond vanity. This wasn't just about looking good, it was about stepping fully into a version of myself I hadn't allowed before. "Thank you," I said, voice calm, confident, steady. The climax came one evening when my girlfriend took me to a party with her friends. Everyone knew her, but no one knew me. I was nervous, my heels higher than usual, my dress daring. My pulse raced, every glance felt like a spotlight. But as soon as I stepped into the room, something shifted. People smiled, complimented me, and for the first time, I wasn't hiding behind fear or insecurity. I laughed, danced, engaged in conversation, and felt a profound sense of liberation. Every step in the heels, every tilt of my head, every soft movement of my hands was a declaration. This was who I was, and I was unafraid to show it. My girlfriend watched me with a mix of pride and affection, her eyes saying what words couldn't. And I realized something vital. Transformation wasn't just about appearances. It was about courage, about embracing vulnerability, about claiming your space in the world unapologetically. By the end of the night, I felt unstoppable. I had faced judgment, navigated fear, and discovered a version of myself that was confident, radiant, and fully alive. The heels, once symbols of hesitation and discomfort, were now instruments of power. The dress, the makeup, the carefully curated persona, they were extensions of my courage, my authenticity, my self-expression. Walking home with my girlfriend, the city lights reflecting in her eyes and in mine, I felt a quiet, profound joy. I wasn't just pretty, I was me. Fully, unapologetically, completely me. Looking back, I realized that night was more than a playful experiment, it was a revelation. My girlfriend didn't just make me look pretty, she helped me see myself in a new light, gave me permission to explore, to experiment, to embrace parts of myself I had long suppressed. And in doing so, I discovered courage, confidence, and a freedom that I never knew existed. Now, when I put on heels, or apply makeup, or choose a dress, it's not about impressing anyone else. It's about honoring the journey, celebrating transformation, and embracing authenticity. Because sometimes, the person who changes your life isn't a stranger, a mirror, or even yourself. It's someone who sees the potential in you before you see it in yourself. And that, I've learned, is a kind of beauty that goes beyond skin, beyond clothes, beyond makeup. It's the beauty of courage, of self-discovery, and of finally, truly, being seen. The next morning, I woke up with the faint scent of her perfume lingering in the air and the memory of last night still buzzing in my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about the way she had transformed me, the soft brush of foundation across my cheeks, the careful sweep of mascara, the gentle tug of my hair into flowing waves. My reflection in the bathroom mirror made me pause. I still looked like me, but somehow, better. Softer. More approachable, more feminine. My jawline seemed a little gentler, my lips a little fuller, my eyes brighter. And beneath all that, I could feel something stirring inside me, a curiosity I hadn't acknowledged before. Alone, I began experimenting. First, subtle changes, a dab of moisturizer to smooth my skin, a light swipe of lip balm, brushing my hair just so. Then, emboldened by the thrill, I started testing more dramatic things. Blending eyeshadow, curling my lashes, trying out a slightly brighter lip color. Each adjustment felt like discovering a secret side of myself, a hidden version I had never allowed to emerge. I spent hours in front of the mirror, sometimes talking to myself softly, almost as if I were coaching a timid actor. Tilt your head, relax your shoulders, smile a little, I murmured. My fingers traced the contours of my face, marveling at the changes, at the textures, at the tiny transformations that made me feel alive in a new way. Then came the clothes. I had always assumed that my body didn't belong in anything feminine, but last night had proven me wrong. I started trying on skirts, soft blouses, even dresses my girlfriend had carefully picked. The first time I zipped into a dress alone, I froze. The fabric hugged my curves in ways that felt unnatural yet thrilling. I walked tentatively across the room, testing the sway of my hips, the click of the heels she had left for me on the floor. And that's when I laughed, softly at first, then louder, as a wave of exhilaration washed over me. I was discovering a side of myself I had never dared to explore. Every step, every glance in the mirror, every tilt of my head revealed a confidence that had been hidden for years. Over the next few days, my secret experiments became a routine. I would sneak moments in the bathroom at work, subtly adjusting my hair or makeup, and then rush home to fully immerse myself in this new identity. I started recording short videos on my phone, watching how I moved, how my expressions changed, how the clothes and makeup reshaped not just my appearance but my posture, my gestures, my voice. It was intoxicating. I realized I was learning more about myself than I ever had. Each small victory, an eyeliner that didn't smudge, a dress that flowed perfectly, a stride in heels that felt natural, made me bolder, more willing to step outside my comfort zone. And yet, there was fear. A quiet, persistent anxiety that someone might discover me, that my old life might collide violently with this new identity. I felt like I was living a double life, one in the world everyone knew, the other in the secret mirror of my apartment. But even fear had its allure. It made each glance, each outfit, each swipe of makeup feel more thrilling, more alive. One afternoon, I decided to test my courage further. I slipped into a soft, pastel dress my girlfriend had saved for me, added heels that made me wobble at first, and applied a subtle smoky eye. I stepped outside, just to the corner store, and felt the world tilt differently beneath my feet. People looked, some smiled, some whispered, but for the first time, I didn't retreat. I held my head high, letting my body move with the rhythm I had been practicing in private. The thrill was intoxicating. I laughed at myself quietly, realizing how far I had come. The curiosity that had started as a playful experiment had grown into something more profound, a desire to fully embrace this side of me, to explore it not just in secret, but in the world outside. By the end of the week, I had begun to plan bigger experiments, coffee shops, streets with more foot traffic, maybe even a small gathering. Each thought made my pulse quicken, a mix of fear and anticipation. My girlfriend noticed the change too. She smiled knowingly when I told her about my mini excursions, teasing me gently. You're getting braver, she said, her fingers brushing my cheek. I love seeing you like this. And I realized that her words weren't just about appearances. They were about me, my confidence, my willingness to explore, my courage to step into a part of myself I had long ignored. It was intoxicating, terrifying, and liberating all at once. I was no longer just the guy I had been yesterday. I was becoming someone new, someone who could navigate both fear and curiosity, someone who was learning to exist fully in this strange, thrilling space my girlfriend had unlocked for me. And for the first time, I wondered, could this be permanent? Could I really live like this?